I'm Eva Fatah from University College London. Okay. I'm going to talk about work in progress. So Screens in the Wild started in November, and it's a collaboration between Space Group at University College London and Mixed Reality Lab in Nottingham, with our main partner, Waltham Forest Borough in London, one of the Olympic sites, to look into the potential of connected and networked urban screens for communities and culture. So, as we all know, urban screens are becoming part of our environment. The digital and particular interactive screens are becoming part of the architecture, part of our urban spaces. Most of them are used for advertising, of course, but they're also used for art, like the one here in South Amsterdam, for global news feed, and sometimes for local information, like the one in London trying to grab your attention about criminals operating around you. And increasingly, these screens are becoming networked. In the UK, we have over 20 very large screens are installed in time for the Olympics, and they will be part of its legacy. And it is often proposed that these screens might help regenerate communities, give exciting opportunities, support access to culture. And in reality, sometimes it does some of this, but most of the time you have high volume of BBC content, so you can imagine it is like a large TV. It's active for very long hours, gives little access to communities or for developing the content. So the research challenge we're addressing is how to integrate this radical, potentially disruptive technology in the urban realm. And in order to address this challenge, we are installing our own screen network. So we have 2 nodes, 2 in Nottingham, 2 in London. And I'm going to address mainly the London side now in my talk. And we are going to develop the content in collaboration with the stakeholder partners, but most importantly with communities. We are working in action research mode and using iterative design process. So we focus on urban space, so localities, the sense of place. We focus on people, so mediated through these technologies. And of course, we focus on access to content. So concretely, we started already with looking into, for instance, one of the sites here in Waltham Forest, look into the urban flows. So where people aggregate, how people move in these areas. And the next stage is looking into activities taking places in these localities. This is the Waltham Forest Market. It's one of the longest in Europe. And it's been promoted in the media as being very colorful and diverse. This, for instance, one of the stall owners who was promoting the market and hoping to help prevent it disappearing. At the same time, recent established media talking about the same area warns from extremist threat and mentioned that there will be signs of jihadi cool and gun culture in the same area. So we are kind of trying to think what brings people together and what kind of communities exist in this locality. And we're using different methods. And as you can see here, and as an outcome of one of the questionnaires, you can see it's a very diverse area where you have a lot of people coming from different parts of the world. This is for looking into the bottom-up part of the project. At the same time, we are running workshops with the stakeholders. And this is a very different part of the process. And it's a lot of negotiations and balancing between expectations and managing these expectations. And for instance, we have one of the partners, the Business Improvement District. They think of the screen as being a giant iPad. And this is a giant iPad for business directory. And they're very, very keen on them. And so it's that kind of thing, how you kind of balance between different interests in these screens. And in the coming slides, I would like to show some of the experiments we've been doing with the screens to understand simply how different interactions are mediated in urban space. And you can see from these pictures, you might have group interactions, you have individuals interaction, you have a different kind of awareness, some of it direct awareness, some of it ambient awareness. Some people also ignore it, like the one in the middle on the top, so they're just leaning on the screen. But most of people don't even notice their existence. Once they interact with them, so I can show here movies, so you can imagine this is the other side of the screen. This was a project with one of the students where we tried to connect to different spaces in London and China. So in this case, you have technology mediating different interactions, and now you have urban space is really a platform for performance and for generating different kind of interactions between people and people, other people next to them, but also people and other people on the other side of the screens. And using body interactions was actually one of these ways people tried to use in different ways in order to communicate to the other side. So it's an ongoing process. As I mentioned, we started in November, and there are a set of challenges that we're going through throughout the whole process. For instance, I mentioned managing expectations, managing stakeholders' interests, and also balancing between different interests. An important part of the screens is integration in the built environment. So it's not like a simple screen floating around. It is an urban component. How does it integrate as part of the context? In a city, you have a variety of situations. So how do we capitalize on this aspect and enrich the generated interactions? You have different weather conditions. They will influence how people are mediated or simply engaged with the system. And you might also generate different kind of relations to old interfaces or even generate new ones. Engagement is a very important part. Do people notice these screens? And if you notice the screens, can you build a relationship to it? So as an attractor, as a sustainer, and as a relator, do I relate to it? Do I come back to it? Content is a big issue, of course, scheduling the content and funding the content is one of these big challenges. And potentially there might be some impact, long-term impact of these screens on the localities. So what kind of impact you are generating? And the interesting part of it is unpredicted use. So a lot of times people will use these systems, will appropriate these technologies in ways designers haven't thought of. So it's a very interesting part of the whole project. So to summarize, we are looking into the complex issues socially, spatially, and regulatory and interactional issues related to the whole process. We are looking into concerns of the researchers, urban designers, planners, and regulators, creative industries. More importantly, we are engaging with the communities, with people in the localities to be part of the whole process and influence development in relation to the implementation of the screens. Thank you.